Right, we have a couple of goodies here today. We're going to be mounting this DiamondBack tactical rifle scope made by Vortex on the Savage 111, and I'm going to be using Vortex rifle scope rings 30mm to match the scope as well. I actually did purchase 1-inch scopes, but this tube is only 30mm, so it won't have fit, so I'll be returning those and using these ones instead. So let's get started. So I can open this clamshell. Okay, it comes with the 2 rings, a couple of screws, and an Allen key. And I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but the Allen key actually has, come on, focus, has like a Torx end to match the screw, so that saved me from having to root around and try to find the right bit. Okay, taking a look at the rings themselves. A nice little feature here is they've got the torque rating stamped right on the ring, so 18 inch-pounds. I don't have a wrench that goes that small, so I'm just gonna use the old calibrated elbow. But nice detail, you got the 2 screws on either side for some even clamping force, and then the attachment to the rail itself also has 2 screws. Normally they come with 1 screw, so this is really nice, and it's finished like in a matte feel, anodized paint as well. So hopefully that'll cut down the glare and hopefully give it some good corrosion resistance too. Okay, that's the rings out of the way. Actually, I'm not sure what these 2 screws are for, since all the screws seem to be in place, but maybe they were just spares. Okay, and then next up we have the scope itself. Okay, obstacle number 1, I have to figure out how to open this thing. Okay, use a bit of brute force, there we go. And in case you're interested, I use standard husband price rating on this. So this cost, well, I told the wife it cost 75% of the actual cost, which is I think a universal cost rating for husbands everywhere. Okay, so it comes with some decent packaging. It comes with a manual. Refer to that afterwards. Okay. Remove the plastic. Now this does have an MRAD sight, which makes it much easier for target acquisition. So it comes also with this with these nice rubber lens caps, but I'm going to be switching them out for flip-up ones just because they're a lot easier to use. But these are actually made of a nice rubber, so I'll keep those. And then this is the scope itself. To properly mount your rifle scope, we highly recommend using an inch-pound torque screwdriver. Do not exceed 18 inch-pounds of torque on the ring screws. But since I don't have an inch-pound torque screwdriver, and I'm not about to spend $100 on one of those, I'm just gonna, like I said, use old calibrated elbow and wrist. So this is, I mean, it's made by Vortex, so it's very, very high quality. No surprises there. The turrets, I don't know if you can pick that up. Very positive placement. So you've got the elevation, the windage, you've got the zoom controls here. So this is a 4x16 by 44, made in China. I'll get rid of that sticker right now. Come on, there we go. Okay, right, so step one, we are going to make sure the rifle is safe. So I'm just going to remove the trigger lock here. I'm going to conveniently cover that with my watch. Okay, so trigger guard is now off. Put that to the side, and I'm going to make sure bolt is open and make sure there's nothing in there. I always like to put my little pinky just to make sure. I mean, you can see clearly down the barrel, but you can never be too safe. So the rifle is safe, and I'm going to leave the bolt open for this. You don't really have to, but we'll just leave that open. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is going to loosen the screws for the rail mount. So just put that in there. Just want to break the tension on it first. Not too worried. And I will see if I can speed this part up in the video editing. I feel like this is more than 18 inch-pounds. They're small screws, but okay. Loosen one. Loosen two. I'm just going to loose fit these to begin with, and then once I get the scope mounted, I'm going to check it for eye relief, and then I'm going to tighten everything down. Good lord, that is more than 18 inch-pounds. But anyway, okay, so let's take the top half off. Again, just turn these until they come out. These are the exact same as this two spare screws, so I'm assuming Vortex just includes two spares just in case. Okay, take this one off. The previous scope rings that I had actually had 3 screws per side, but that was probably overkill. So I'm just going to mount this. So I need to loosen a little bit more. And by loosening it, you can see that it moves the teeth part so that it can slide over the rail. And once it's there, I need to do a bit more. Come on, there we go. That mounted flat. And I'm just going to slightly tighten these just until I feel the tiniest bit of resistance, just so that they don't fall off when I'm setting the scope on. While I'm doing this, actually one of the reasons why I bought the Vortex instead of my usual Nikon is that Nikon actually stopped producing rifle scopes, so they are out of the game right now. They still will honor the warranty for any existing scopes. And they actually had one of the best warranties in the world. It's pretty much for if the scope broke or got damaged for any reason, if it was your own negligence, they would repair it or replace it at no cost to you. It was a lifetime warranty, transferable as well, which was great, and the scopes themselves are fantastic quality. But even though they are honoring the warranty, even if I was to purchase a Nikon scope today, since they're not really manufacturing them anymore, if I do need to send it in for warranty repair, I mean, there's no way they're going to replace it. They're not making any new ones, so it would likely be a repair at that point, and I just feel more comfortable getting an out-and-out replacement if that's an option. So Vortex actually has a very similar warranty. They cover you for pretty much any kind of damage, no matter how it's caused. You don't need a receipt, so you don't need to keep paper receipts around until the end of time, which is great as well. You just fill out a form, send it in, and start the warranty repair. So it was either this or Bushnell, a Bushnell brand scope. Bushnells are a little bit cheaper, but they don't have the same, no quibble warranty. They don't cover, for example, accidental damage. So if there's any kind of damage to the outer casing or to the lens, they put that down as negligence, and they'll deny your warranty claim. So not that I'm not very careful with my scopes, but I just like the added reassurance of the no quibble. So see if I can, okay, I'm gonna tighten, I'm gonna put a couple of screws in just to show you one of the, I should have mentioned this actually, these rings are medium height, mid height, and the reason for that is I needed them to clear the bolt action. And once I get this tightened up a bit, because I don't want it falling off, I will show you why that is important. So I'm just putting one screw on either side diagonally. I'm not tightening it by any amount, I'm just making sure enough threads catch, so that when I tilt it on its side, you'll be able to see. So okay, I'm going to take this out of the cradle, and you can see the bolt action here. So as I close it, okay, now we are fully locked. Okay, just the safety zone, just because. And if I want to eject around, I'm going to pull this back. Come on. And you can see this little gap here is all that stops the bolt from interfering with the scope. The low-rise scopes would have caused the scope body itself to be closer to the bolt, and it means that this handle part would have been striking the zoom dial. So that's why I opted for the mid ones. So again, I'm just going to open that bolt up again. Okay. And this was a pretty good fit actually. I am going to pause the video here and just check the eye relief before I tighten everything down. Right, that was unusually lucky. It was essentially just had to move the scope forward maybe an inch, well, not even an inch, maybe an eighth of an inch, or just a few millimeters in fact, to get the proper eye relief. So in case you're wondering, the eye relief is, I'm just going to move this out a bit so you can see. Your eye relief is the distance from this lens to your actual eye, and you don't want that to be too close, because when you discharge a round or when you fire the rifle, the recoil pushes the entire rifle, including the scope, backwards, and it'll bounce off your safety glasses. I mean, you shouldn't be using any firearm without safety glasses, but even though you're wearing polycarbonate or other types of safety glasses, it's not a pleasant feeling to be whacked in the face by this. And you also don't want it too far, because as with most scopes, if your eye is too far from here, you lose the field of vision as well. So it's kind of hard to explain, but I'll see if I can get a video or at least a photo of that as well. But if my eye, let's say my face was around here, my eye was around here, I wouldn't see the full field. It would be a big black border with a very tiny, the cross hairs would be very, very small. the actual good thing about this scope is that the eye relief is actually fairly wide. I was maybe an inch away and it was great, and I was maybe 4 or 5 inches away and it was still fantastic. And it was only when I got to around 6 or more inches that I started getting that thick border. So all in all, this is gonna be pretty good. Okay, I'm just gonna tighten these down again. 18 inch-pounds according to my wrist. Okay, and I'm going to drop these other screws in. They are all the same, so it doesn't really matter which one goes where. Okay, and now what I'm going to do, it's very similar to when you're tightening a wheel nut. I'm just going to go in opposite direction. So I'm going to start this one until I feel even the slightest bit of resistance. And then I'm going to go to its opposite diagonal side and tighten that in. And then I'm going to switch and switch. Again, not tightening these up yet. I'm just waiting until I feel a little bit of resistance so that there's even clamping force. And then once I get that on all 8 screws, I should say, I was going to say 4, but all 8 screws, then I'll go back in and tighten it. So okay, let me just see. 1. Okay, that feels resistance. Now I'm going to tighten it until they're actually tight. And then what I'm going to do is go in and give it another just under a quarter turn. That's going to be my 18 inch-pounds. Okay, so here, quarter turn, quarter turn, quarter turn, quarter turn. Actually, this one I think I might need to do a bit more. Oh, that one's good. Now obviously this scope is not going to be zeroed in at all, but what I'm going to be doing is using my bore laser just to sight it in, and that'll be part for another video. So just let's see what we can. The reason it's important to have these fairly snug is when you fire around, when you discharge a rifle, there's a fair amount of recoil that goes on, and if the scope moves, you potentially would lose your zero, which would mean you'd have to reset it all over again, or you'd miss your shot. And if you're hunting, that would be a very bad thing indeed. Okay, so we are now done. I've tightened up the 4 top rings. I'm just going to make sure these are tight. So yeah, and this part is probably redundant. I'm just going to give it a bit of a jiggle test. That is good. And we can call it a day. So here's the scope fully installed. I used my bench rest here with a shooting bag, and this is the barrel. Actually, I will do a review on this rifle afterwards as well, but as you can see here, it comes with a built-in compensator, built-in muzzle brake, not compensator. And to open or close it, you just turn it counterclockwise a quarter turn, and that closes it. These are very useful for reducing recoil. So right now, as you can see, the holes are open, so as the bullet travels through the barrel, it's got the gases behind it. These holes allow the gases to disperse, which means that they fire through the holes in all directions, since the holes go all the way around. If the holes were closed, or if the brake was closed, all of the force of the gases would be pushing that way, which would, since they're equal and opposite reaction, would force the rifle backwards, thereby increasing its recoil. But since some of the pressure of the gases is relieved through the holes, the force going outwards is reduced and makes it a little bit easier to handle. Okay, thanks for watching everyone.